Let's bring Bill over on. Bill, can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you just fine today. I've enjoyed the show, both Alan and Morgan. You guys have been great. What I want to know is, we've had the guys who've guaranteed the win, and then they've come out and said that Kyle Field is such a noisy place to play. And I referenced back, and Morgan, you won't remember this, neither will you, but we played Notre Dame, who was number one in the country in 1978, and Dan Devine said that Clemson, that noise is no problem. They won the national title that year. The closest they came to getting beat was by the Clemson Tigers, who were lowly in that year, 21-17.
Just so
My
you know, we
question
can't
is,
hear
will
it,
the
Morgan.
bulletin board material
Okay, good.
and the talks about Clemson not being allowed, will that actually wind up biting them in the Batuski?
For me, when it comes to home field advantage, Clemson, especially this team has been through so much, and Dabo has prepared every single player to be ready for the game in front of him. He doesn't look ahead. They don't dwell on past mistakes. I think Dabo, man, he's just such a great coach at preparing them not only to be players, but to be, good men. And developing these young men into what they're going to be for the future. And so they obviously went into Kyle Field, and everybody talks about the 12th man. Nope. I think the 12th man is obviously, when you watch it on TV, it seems pretty intimidating. I know there's got to be something there, but I think this team is not one of those teams like a Notre Dame team where, remember, Kelly came out and his eyes were like big in the headlights. Like he didn't know what was going to happen and he looked like he wasn't ready. Or you got like Collins that last week saying, hey, we're going to go in there, we're going to be ready, we're going to be amped. And then that didn't work out for them either. I think there is a balance between being amped up and, not being ready. You got to be prepared enough, but you can't get over amped for the game. I know CJ Spiller mentioned this on the Tiger Tailgate show recently that he didn't get overhyped in the locker room. He just tried to stay calm, focus on what he had to do, kind of run through different play scenarios and different situations to try to prepare for the game coming in. So he wasn't one of those guys that just kind of jumped and busted up the locker room or anything. But I think a lot of teams, especially SEC teams, they underestimate that Clemson environment. Man, Death Valley can get so loud. Allen talked about this. One of his favorite games was that Miami triple overtime game that was like the loudest ever recorded, at least I think for the ACC, loudest ever recorded game. So a lot of people don't give Clemson that credit, and I think we even talked about the way that the stadium is shaped now with the way the west end zone is kind of enclosed. I think it increases that loudness, and I think that a lot of people don't. And this Texas A&M team, these guys, I don't remember last time Texas A&M. I think they came to Clemson back when we were in high school, Al, if I'm not mistaken. So this team has not been used to that most exciting 25 seconds, and I think that 12th man, that running down the hill, is such a shock to most teams. We're like, wow, I've seen this on TV, I've heard about it, but seeing it in person is like a shock to opponents, especially when this is an A&M team that's been here, but not this team. And so I think Jimbo Fisher's been there before, but Kellen Mond hasn't been there before. So I'm curious to see how he performs. But I think Jimbo understands he was able to coach up Jameis Winston, obviously. I think there is a concern for Kellen Mond. Alan, what do you think? Do you think that Texas A&M, even though they play at the 12th man over in Kyle Field, do you think that they're going to get shocked coming into Death Valley?
I don't necessarily expect them to be shocked, but I do anticipate it kind of affecting them a little bit. I mean, they talk about, well, we have the loudest fans in the country. We play at Kyle Field and all that kind of stuff. That's great, but where they're not screaming in your ear when you're trying to run plays on offense. Okay, when you're trying to change the plays and things like that, you're screaming at you, 80,000, 85,000 are screaming at the top of their lungs. It's different. It's flat out different. So I think they're going to make a couple of mistakes. Hopefully we can get a couple delay of games from the crowd if the crowd's as big and as loud as I hope they're going to be this weekend. I think it'll affect them some, but I mean, like I said, they've been here before. They understand. They've been in these types of environments, I guess, just to say before. So they understand the noise. But Clemson, we try to bring it to another level. I hope we prove that again this Saturday. But I think they're going to be affected a little bit. But in the end of the day, I think really it's just going to be about the game and the players on the field. I don't really think the noise is going to be make or break.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we just don't have a trendy name to call ourselves by. I mean, Death Valley, but it doesn't talk about a specific the crowd specifically.
Yeah.
But just the whole pageantry of it. I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I think the opposing players are in the locker room, or maybe they're kind of right outside the locker room. But as a fan, when you see those blue state trooper lights come around the corner and echo off the side of the stadium, and you just see the blue reflection everywhere of the state trooper lights. Man, I just want to jump out of my skin, man. I'm so pumped and amped. When I watch it at home, I'm like running up and down the hallway, and my dog's like barking at me, like, what's going on? I just get so amped at the beginning of every game. I just love watching the Tigers run down the hill. I was a little surprised Dabo wasn't like, you would think Dabo coming into the first game of the season, he would be so amped at the top of the hill. He was like so calm. He rubbed the rock, pointed to the top, pointed to the sky like he always does, and then he just kind of looked forward and clapped a couple of times. I'm like, dude, if I was the coach, I would be losing it at the top of the hill.
I agree. I kind of feel the same way. But I mean, yeah, he's a pro. He's been there. He's done that before. He likes the calm approach. I used to like when they were jumping up and down and screaming and having to hold each other back at the top of the hill back in the old days. That was kind of my favorite for sure. But hey, as long as we're winning, I don't really care what they do at the top of the hill.